You know what else is real? Drew Aller's Heisman chances. Are we on live?
We are live.
Oh, shoot. Let's get this started off with
All
a real
right.
topic.
Welcome back to our podcast,
PNC Sports.
PNC Sports.
All right. You want to go or you want me
So, the first thing we're going to talk about is the FSU game. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I really had FSU doing pretty good this year, especially since they went 15-0 last year. And I thought, maybe against the Georgia Tech, they just had a bad game. Maybe I figured they were going to pick themselves up, but no, they didn't. They lost to Boston College.
ESPN just posted a tweet. FSU is the first team to go from number 10 to unranked in a game since 1978 Clemson.
Speaking of which, I'm a D1 Clemson hater. I will never like Clemson.
Okay, that's valid.
I'm so happy they lost to Georgia.
Not a lot of people like Clemson. All right, let's get into the games here. We have the list of all the college football games this week.
Okay.
And first one, the big game, the game of the week for us, is Michigan versus Texas.
I'm going to have to go with Texas.
I'm going to have to go with Michigan personally.
I think Michigan they'll give a good game. I think it's going to be pretty close, but I think Texas is going to come out on top.
I think Michigan's going to win. Some interesting facts about Michigan and Texas. Michigan has won or shared 45 league titles since the inception of the AP poll in 1936 and has finished top 10 a total of 39 times, and the Wolverines claim 12 national championships, including 3 in 1948, 1997, and 2023.
I'm also pretty sure they have the best winning record out of every college of all time.
They've had some studs come out of there. Actually, since we are a Winfield podcast, we had a guy actually go to Michigan.
The pride of Michigan football.
The pride of Michigan football. I don't know his name. Anthony Thomas. Also known as A-Train. If you find the clip, it actually says a kid out of small Winfield, Louisiana, as he takes the ball and runs it for a touchdown. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to read the facts about Texas?
Yeah, sure.
Because you have Texas now. All right. You want to put the computer in the middle?
Yeah. So, a fun fact about Texas is that they've played in 4 Bowl Championship Series games, including 2 BCS National Championships and 1 New Year's Six Bowl. So, everybody's really doubting Texas. So, a fun fact about Texas is that they played in 4 Bowl Championship Series games, including 2 BCS National Championships and 1 New Year's Six Bowl. People are really doubting Texas against Michigan because they think just because they lost in the playoff rounds against Washington means that they're going to lose against Michigan. But I think that's untrue.
Personally, I don't think you can go into the big house and win.
Personally, I think it's been done multiple times by Ohio State. And Ohio State didn't make the playoffs last year. But you know who did? Texas. So I think Texas is going to prevail.
All right, let's move on to the next game. We have Arkansas versus Oklahoma State. I'm going to have to go with Arkansas.
I'm also going to go with Arkansas.
Oklahoma State is a very good team. Ollie Gordon being their best player, a very explosive running back.
Yeah.
But I just don't think he can get the job done. SEC ball is different, man.
SEC ball is very different.
As Vanderbilt once said, you come into our house, we play some SEC ball. Alabama, you're next.
And then they got blown out.
That's true. Next game, Tulane versus Kansas State. I want K-State.
I'm going with Tulane. I don't think they'll win. I just want to go with them because I loved watching Tulane in 2020 whenever they were actually good. Now they're not so good, but I still have hope that they'll come out on top.
The reason I'm going with Kansas State is because of their quarterback. I actually don't know his name. Avery Johnson. He was a starter. He was a backup when the Wildcats had the number. What? Anyway, I think personally Drew Aller's going to go out there and show everybody why he deserves to be the Heisman candidate. Bowling Green's not a good team, but I mean, you don't have to play good teams to have a good performance.
I just want to say, Drew Aller, if you ever see this, hook us up with some Penn State gear.
We're your biggest supporters.
We are your biggest supporters.
All right, next game, Texas A&M versus McNeese. That's Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, but I will be very happy if McNeese wins, but just based off that, it's going to be Texas A&M.
It's definitely going to be Texas A&M. Next is Georgia versus Tennessee Tech.
I'm going to go with Georgia on this one.
I'm gonna have to go with Georgia. That's all I have to say about it.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know Tennessee Tech was a college.
They're a FCS school.
Okay, that makes sense.
Next game, Northern Illinois versus Notre Dame.
Gonna go with Notre Dame.
I'm gonna go with Notre Dame too. That's all that needs to be said about that.
Yeah.
Next is Baylor versus Utah.
So I'm gonna go with Baylor on this one.
I'm going with Utah.
Only because Baylor has Taz Williams Jr. That's the only reason. No other reason.
I'm going with Utah because Utah is actually ranked right now. Utah is a very good quarterback. Utah is a very good offensive line. They're very nasty playing. Not dirty, but nasty.
So, my counter to that is who here is like a Utah supporter? Name one person that you know is a Utah supporter.
Me.
Besides you, because you know yourself.
I don't know anybody. Next is Iowa State versus Iowa. Iowa's actually ranked in the top 12, but give me Iowa State.
I'm going to say Iowa just because based off the past years, Iowa's produced some superstar athletes such as Cooper DeJean and Caitlin Clark. Even though Caitlin Clark doesn't play football, I'm still going to go with Iowa.
I'm going to go with Iowa State because they produced beautiful NFL talent, as in Brock Purdy, Breece Hall. Next game is Middle Tennessee versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss. That's all that needs to be said.
There's nothing else needs to be said.
Florida A&M versus Miami, the U.
Miami.
Give me U Miami as well. Kansas versus Illinois. Kansas is ranked in the top 15, I'm pretty sure. If they're not, they're like number 17. Kansas is always a really good football team.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Kansas on this one too.
Next is Buffalo versus Missouri.
Give me Missouri.
Give me Missouri. I like Missouri. SEC ball is different, man.
I'm really rooting for Missouri this year. I hope they have a good year. I really hope they make at least a bowl game this year.
South Florida versus Bama.
Give me Bama.
Give me South Florida, baby.
Oh, man, you're just...
The Florida teams have seemed to impress me this year, except for FSU and Florida.
Can you give me a reason why you're picking South Florida?
I'm picking South Florida because if you look at the stats from last year, they were in a tied game at halftime with Bama. And they barely got beat by Bama last year. And I believe this Bama team is not as good as the ones in the past.
I just want to say that Jalen Milroe will walk all over them.
I don't think so.
He will.
Mark it down. And now we have another ranked game between two ranked opponents. Tennessee versus NC State.
Give me NC State.
I'm going with NC State too. I don't believe Tennessee will be that good this year. Now their blackout unis are clean. Don't get me wrong.
I think NC State is a sleeper pick. I think it really is.
I think NC State is a sleeper pick and could have a good chance of making a good college football run. Next is Western Michigan versus Ohio State.
Oh, I'm going to have to go with Ohio State. I didn't even know Western Michigan was a college.
Give me the Western Michigan Broncos, baby. Western Michigan, Michigan teams always have that chip on their shoulder when they're going into Ohio State. From Michigan to Eastern Michigan to Michigan State and to Western Michigan.
And that's exactly why Ohio State is going to dominate in this game.
And I believe Western Michigan can go into Ohio State and take them down. Next game, LSU versus Nicholls State. It's obviously going to be LSU.
It's going to be LSU.
And if it's not LSU, I don't know what will happen.
Are we going to talk about the game? The most recent game? Is that going to be game of the week?
What?
Because that was a good game.
No. We could do a game of the week and a past game of the week.
This game. Okay.
No, we're not going to do it this time. We're going to do it next week. All right. Cut that part out, Mr. Riley.
All right.
Next game is Houston versus Oklahoma. Houston is a very good team, but I think I'm going to have to go with Oklahoma.
I'm also going to go with Oklahoma. No particular reason. I just don't like Texas teams, even though I picked Texas earlier to beat Michigan. And I also,
cut that out, Mr. Riley.
No, that's supposed to be part of it. Now we got to cut it out now.
I think Oklahoma is going to be good. Oklahoma transitioning to the SEC. They're not the best, but they're definitely not the worst, and I don't think Houston will take them down.
I'm going to go with Oklahoma simply for the name. That's it, the name.
Now we have App State versus Clemson. I'm going to see a major upset here with App State taking down Clemson.
I'm also going to have to go with App State because, like I mentioned, I am a D1 Clemson hater. Clemson is just, in my opinion, the worst college. Only, in my opinion, good athlete they've ever produced is Trevor Lawrence. And he's not even that good.
So what about DeAndre Hopkins.
He's not important. They're not important because they came from Clemson. It doesn't matter that they were in the NFL.
It's not like they're one of the best jump balls receivers in the NFL, but it's okay.
It's because they came from Clemson.
Boise State versus Oregon. Give me Oregon. Nothing else needs to be said about that.
Yeah,
Actually, go back on that. Give me Boise State beating Oregon.
I'm gonna have to go with Oregon.
I've seen Boise State's potential, and they have the blue field. Even though they're not playing at home, they're playing at Oregon. I think Oregon can easily be taken down. They're not a good team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going with Oregon. I don't really have anything else to say.
Next is Northern Arizona versus Arizona. Give me Arizona.
Give me Arizona.
I don't really know anything about those two teams.
I also don't. I just know that one used to have Jaden Daniels, and then they fumbled him.
Next is Utah State versus USC. Give me USC.
Give me USC. After what I've just seen this past week with them going against LSU, I'm going to have to go with USC.
Okay. All right, so who do you think was the spotlight player of the week this week in college football? Kyrene Lacey, I think, was the show-out player of the week.
Yeah, he was definitely good.
Catching 2 first-half touchdowns, I think he was definitely the best player in my opinion. He kind of fell off once the second half hit, but LSU's run game started falling in. So
yeah, he did very good, and I'm pretty sure that was his debut game, wasn't it? Debut?
No, he played last season with Jaden Daniels.
Well,
he was good, but he didn't have as big of a role when Malik Neighbors there.
Okay. I stand corrected. My apologies.
So,
but that game was a very good game. I really thought LSU was going to come out on top, but they didn't.
I think there's actually an NFL game this week.
There is. I'm pretty sure there's multiple.
The Baltimore Ravens and the Packers play today at 7:20 p.m. The Eagles and the Packers also play in Brazil tomorrow at 7:15 p.m.
So, I don't know if you know this, but there's been a lot of controversy about them playing in Brazil.
Because green is a banned color in Brazil because it's representing gangs.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the exact reason, but I know for sure that they're very upset about the green. Like, I'm pretty sure the Eagles, or one of the teams has a fully black, like white and black uniform, and then the other team just decided to go with green. I'm pretty sure it's the Eagles that went the white and black, and the Packers just said, screw it, we're going green.
That's what they did.
But there's been a ton of controversy about that, but I guess the Packers just don't care. I find that pretty funny.
Let's talk about the Chiefs versus Ravens game. The AFC Championship matchup. Last year, everybody thought the Ravens were going to get out there and beat the Chiefs, but the Chiefs somehow pulled through. I think this year, with the Ravens' addition of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson back into his MVP form, I think the Ravens go into Arrowhead and come out with a victory.
So this is my prediction for the game. I have the Ravens winning, but this is what I think is going to happen. It's going to be third quarter, 5 minutes till fourth, and then all of a sudden Patrick Mahomes just gets absolutely sacked, tears every muscle in his leg. He's out for the rest of his career. He's gone. He's done. Then Travis Kelce gets mad and starts yelling at their head coach. Then
Hey, Andrew, stop. All right, cut that out, Mr.
Why? Why won't you let me go on with it?
Now, what's your prediction? Dead serious. Do your dead serious.
All right. No, dead serious. I do think Baltimore Ravens are going to win. I think only because they don't have Kadarius Toney anymore. I know Kadarius Toney wasn't the greatest receiver this past year, but he was knowledgeable on their plays. He was knowledgeable about routes and everything that needed to be done. He just couldn't execute it well.
If you think about it, the Chiefs two-peated with Kadarius Toney, then they let him go.
Yeah.
I'm just going to end it on that one.
I think the Chiefs are going to have a good time with Xavier Worthy, but I don't think they're going to the bowl this year.
Okay, that's it. We'll catch you next time on the PNC podcast.